So this is a gold Zen on Anubis. And straight out the front gate, I'd probably like to see you wait on those stairs for a little bit longer, because you never really sort of work out what threats the enemy has waiting for you. You're pretty lucky that the enemy team isn't playing any snipers up in these positions, because as you rank up, you will get deleted as soon as you round the corner if you don't scout this properly. Either sort of jiggle around the corner yourself until you get a better idea of what they're playing, or let your team and your tanks run out and scout it for you once you know they don't have a widow up on that high ground, or maybe a hog hiding on the corner. Then it's a lot safer to go around. So do try and be a little bit more careful about running straight out into these lines of sight. Probably the biggest thing I noticed throughout this VOD is that you never really use your right clicks. Whenever you watch these high levels ends, you see they're always charging right clicks. They're always hiding in cover so they don't take damage. They charge a right click, they peek out. They go for picks, they go for damage on tanks, they go for shield damage, whatever. You really need to be using these right clicks. It's very poor practice to only ever use the primary fire. I think maybe use 2 right clicks throughout this VOD. And it's really sloppy, because there are a lot of these situations where you're sort of hiding in cover or there's no enemies on your screen, and you could be using that downtime to charge a right click, but instead you're just sort of sitting there doing nothing. So really try and use these right clicks, because they're a huge part of Zen's kit that you're sort of neglecting. In both of the big fights that you have in this VOD, you sort of neglect cover quite a lot too. You see, where you're playing now, you're so far away from any sort of cover that you could be using to keep yourself alive. These angles that you're getting now, you could be getting if you're playing. You probably walk through, right? Yeah, you could be getting if you're sort of staying in this position. You can use this wall on the left-hand side of your screen. It's a very nice rectangle for cover, without being as much of a risk, not only from the people on point, but from the respawns that might be coming through mid. So yeah, really, you need to use cover Zen. You never want to get caught out in these positions. Where were you? You're about here. Where you're so far away from any sort of cover or, map geometry that you can hide behind, to regen your shields, to charge right clicks, or, just to take less damage in general. So really try not to get caught out in these positions that you do, because you'll see, where is it? Probably about here. Yeah, the Zen just pops out, and because you're so far out of cover and you've got nowhere to hide, he just finishes you off. So, definitely try and look for cover, because you did a similar thing on second point. So one thing that you'll see a lot when people talk about Zen will be about aiming each shot individually, and this is something you really didn't do, because Zen isn't a tracking hero, but a lot of players aim him like a tracking hero. They try and sort of keep their crosshair on the sort of rough area that the enemy's playing in, and then they just hold mouse 1 and hope to get damage. And this is a really poor way of getting damage out of Zen. You need to think about each individual orb, and you need to actually aim them. When you look at the higher level Zens, it might look like they're just holding down mass 1, but really they're not. They're just so used to aiming each individual orb that they can actually reach that, high rate of fire. So really try and concentrate on your aim a bit more, because you miss a lot of shots coming up here that you really shouldn't do, especially considering you're just aiming at tanks most of the time. So yeah, try and think about each orb individually, and try not to just hold down mouse 1 after you reload until you've got no orbs left, because it's not really a great way of getting these damage stats out. So the first time I watched this VOD, I was pretty happy with you playing this far back, right? I thought, oh great, he knows his job isn't to play on point. And then you start walking forward, and then this Ryan dies, and you're still on point. This is really not where Zen wants to be caught, especially in these capture point scenarios. You see, I think their Zen, yeah, their Zen just pops out behind you and kills you for free. And it's really sloppy for you to die here. In these like capture point situations, Zen's job is just to stay alive and keep sustaining his team. I don't really mean just with the Harmony Orb, but I mean his sort of whole kit overall, right? The damage that he puts out is a really important part of keeping your team up in these fights where they have an awful respawn advantage. Playing on point like this just makes you really vulnerable and lets them get kills on you for free. If it wasn't the Zen, it would have been, maybe a Tracer coming out of spawn, maybe a Winston jumping out to contest. You really never want to be caught this far up. You want to be playing far back enough that you're not going to take damage from the enemy frontline heroes, and you also need to be far back enough that if they want to kill you, they have to put resources into killing you. You see the Zen just sort of kills you for free, but if you'd been playing slightly further back, maybe around some of the cover that's sitting just behind where you died, he wouldn't have been able to get that kill on you for free. And if he really wanted to kill you, he'd have had to sort of come out and make himself vulnerable to try and get that kill on you. So yeah, really try and play further back, especially in these capture point situations. You need to try and get into a position where you can get value, but you also make it very difficult for the enemy team just to kill you, because dying like this is really, really sloppy. So those two main things are going to be this positioning and fights that you've pretty much already won, but you just have to sort of win through. You have to try and actively think about getting yourself into a position where you can still get value, but you make yourself an absolute pain to kill. On first point, anywhere near that bridge is quite nice, and on second point, maybe you could try one of my favourites, which is over on this right-hand side near the boxes. You know, just try and actively think about this positioning a bit more, and bear in mind that it really isn't your job for the most part to be capturing the point. The second thing, and the thing that you'll probably see a much more immediate reaction to in your games, is just going to be using these right clicks a lot more. You know, you really, really underutilise this aspect of Zen's kit, and whenever you have the tiniest bit of downtime, you know, you're regaining shields, you're repositioning, you want to be charging a right click, and you want to just be, you know, firing off round corners, into tanks, you know, whatever. Keep using these right clicks because it's going to help you get a lot more stats out, and it's also your main pick potential. So please, please don't forget to use it.